of Sunny Hostin on The View, Tom, basically implicating her husband in this type of a scheme.
I would tell them to look at themselves very hard in the mirror and say, have we really not brought this on ourselves?
But what do you think? Is Sunny just an innocent bystander, or does she bear some of the blame? And how will this scandal affect The View moving forward? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Trust us. This is one story you won't want to miss. We'll see you in the next one.
According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgery.
Meanwhile, Emmanuel's legal troubles are spiraling, growing more complex by the day. The sheer magnitude of this case means that every detail, every allegation is being scrutinized under a microscope. And with each new layer uncovered, more questions emerge. How deep does this go? Who else is involved? And perhaps the most crucial question of all, what role did Emmanuel really play in all of this? His legal team can deny the accusations all they want, but at the end of the day, the evidence will tell its own story. And if that evidence points to guilt, the consequences won't just be devastating for Emmanuel. They'll tear through Sunny and their entire family as well. And that's the part that's impossible to ignore, the human toll. Behind the headlines, the sensationalized media circus, and the legal jargon, there's a family caught in the eye of the storm. Sunny and Emmanuel have 2 children, both adults, but no one emerges unscathed from a situation like this. The media frenzy, the endless speculation, the public scrutiny, it's an emotional and mental toll that's hard to bear, especially for a family already under unimaginable pressure. While Sunny may be accustomed to the spotlight, this is a level of exposure no one is prepared for. So where does that leave us? With a scandal that shows no signs of slowing, a family desperate to protect what's left of their reputation, and a public ravenous for answers. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the fallout, both legal and personal, could be catastrophic. As this case continues to unfold, one thing is clear. This isn't just about Emmanuel Hostin. It's about power, privilege, and the steep price of hypocrisy. And for Sunny, the woman who has spent years preaching accountability, the irony is almost unbearable.
Anna went in a different direction, but I love the fact that, you know, Manny is younger and he's
How much younger is he?
Just a little bit.
He's like 1 year, isn't he?
Like a month or a year or 10 years?
No,
5 years.
It's more than a year.
Oh.
Anyway,
And let's not overlook the deep irony in all of this. Sunny Hostin, once seen as the moral compass of The View, the woman who built her entire brand on calling out corruption, inequality, and systemic failures, is now facing accusations that hit far too close to home. It's the ultimate contradiction, and people are eating it up. Social media, ever quick to pounce, has transformed this scandal into a full-blown spectacle. Memes, hashtags, viral clips, they're all out there, relentless, and unforgiving. The narrative has shifted dramatically from Sunny the Crusader to Sunny the Hypocrite, and that shift? It's proving nearly impossible to shake. But perhaps the most damning aspect of this entire ordeal is the silence from Sunny herself. Aside from a carefully crafted statement, she's remained tight-lipped, refusing to confront the allegations head-on. And while that may be a smart legal move, it's a PR disaster. In the absence of her voice, the void is being filled with speculation, rumors, and an avalanche of criticism. People are drawing their own conclusions. And let's be honest, those conclusions aren't flattering. The longer she remains quiet, the worse it gets. It's a lose-lose situation, and Sunny knows it. The real question is, how long can she hold out before the pressure becomes unbearable?
So we know Sunny Hostin and her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, are preparing for a legal battle to fight accusations that he committed federal insurance fraud.
And speaking of bombs, let's address the legal powder keg Emmanuel Hostin is sitting on. The accusations against him aren't just damaging, they're devastating. Allegedly performing unnecessary surgeries isn't merely unethical. It's dangerous, reckless, and reveals a level of greed that's hard to fathom. The financial scope of this case? It's staggering. If even a fraction of the claims are true, we're looking at a network of fraud so vast it dwarfs previous medical scandals, making them seem like small-time operations. Yet, Emmanuel's legal team is standing firm, framing him as a victim. a scapegoat caught in the crosshairs of a desperate insurance company trying to avoid financial collapse. The real question, however, is whether this defense can stand up in court or if it's simply a last-ditch effort to rewrite the story. But here's the twist. The spotlight isn't just on Emmanuel anymore. It's on Sunny, too. No matter how much she tries to distance herself from the allegations, the court of public opinion is far less forgiving. Every new detail, every fresh revelation in this case inches her closer to the center of the storm, her lavish lifestyle. The designer, wardrobe, the high-profile career. Now, all of it feels tainted, viewed through the lens of suspicion. Were those luxury vacations funded by questionable payouts? Did Sunny unknowingly, or worse, knowingly, benefit from her husband's alleged schemes? These are the questions people are asking, and the answers, or lack of them, are doing her no favors.
This is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York. You guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
And it's not just Sunny feeling the heat. The ripple effects of this scandal are spreading quickly, reaching every corner of The View. Her co-hosts, who are usually quick to jump in with a sharp comment or a witty take, have been eerily silent. No clever quips, no sly digs, not even a passing mention of the scandal that's taking over the headlines. That silence? It speaks volumes. It's a quiet but deliberate effort to distance themselves from the fallout, to steer clear of a mess that could drag down the entire panel. But behind closed doors, you can bet the tension is thick. How do you sit next to someone every morning, debate everything from politics to morality, knowing that their personal life is sitting on a powder keg, ready to explode at any moment? It's a pressure no one signed up for, and one that's bound to leave a mark on the show's chemistry moving forward.
It seems like they're just leaning into it. Like there's no course correction at all. Just leaning into the kooky.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Oh, yeah.
And let's not overlook the media's role in this unfolding drama. While mainstream outlets have tread carefully, likely mindful of the legal minefield surrounding such a high-profile case, independent commentators and podcast hosts have had no such hesitation. Figures like Joe Rogan, unencumbered by corporate restrictions, have seized on the scandal, using it as a platform to discuss hypocrisy, elitism, and the ever-growing divide between the media and real-world accountability. These voices, unfiltered, unrestrained, and relentless, are shaping public perception in ways that traditional outlets can't or won't. For Sunny, whose entire career hinges on her credibility, this kind of exposure is far more dangerous than a typical headline or news segment. It's personal, it's raw, and it's everywhere. The conversations that once existed behind closed doors are now spilling out into the open, with every podcast, every tweet, every viral meme chiseling away at the public image she so carefully crafted.
Emmanuel denied the allegations via a statement through his lawyer, telling Daily Mail that his client, quote, denies each and every allegation and that the lawsuit is a blanket, scattershot, meritless lawsuit.
But the whispers aren't confined to the production offices alone. Behind the scenes, there's growing tension among the co-hosts, with some reportedly feeling blindsided by the scandal and the fallout it could bring to their own reputations. The key why View thrives on its panel's chemistry, the dynamic between women who, despite their differences, present a united front. But when one co-host's personal life becomes a high-stakes distraction, it risks tipping the entire balance. Insiders are hinting at a growing chill on set, with certain co-hosts allegedly keeping their distance from Sunny as the headlines keep piling up. It's a striking contrast to the warm camaraderie they project on air, and it raises a chilling question. How long can this veneer of unity hold before the fractures start to show? To make matters even more volatile, speculation around Sunny's own legal exposure is only intensifying. While she hasn't been named as a defendant, the term marital assets has begun circulating in legal circles like a ticking bomb. If Emmanuel's alleged schemes generated any income that ended up in their shared finances, Sunny could soon find herself under scrutiny, facing tough questions about where that money truly came from. In the world of civil suits, it doesn't take much for a spouse to get dragged into the mess, especially when the financial sums involved are as enormous as these. And while Sunny's legal team may be working tirelessly to keep her name clear in the courtroom, the court of public opinion is far less kind. The optics alone, the luxury lifestyle built on potentially tainted funds, are enough to spark outrage. And in a world where appearances are everything, even the smallest crack in the narrative could send everything tumbling.
He was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange.
As the case barrels forward, the pressure shows no signs of easing. Lawyers sharpen their strategies. Reporters dig deeper. The public watches with bated breath, bracing for the next bombshell. Something that could either clear Emmanuel's name or drag Sunny even deeper into the mire. But this is no longer just a legal showdown. It's a full-blown battle for identity, survival, and redemption. And the closer it gets to the spotlight's center, the more the stakes seem to rise. Despite the measured statements and carefully controlled appearances, there's no mistaking it. Something is cracking beneath Sunny Hostin's composed exterior. It's not just the court case threatening to upend her life. It's the unraveling of a narrative she spent years crafting. The fearless truth-teller, the unflinching voice of morality, the woman above the fray. Now, that image teeters on the brink. Whispers are already circulating behind closed doors. Industry insiders claim producers at The View are scrambling, weighing fierce loyalty against the cold reality of a scandal that could gut the show's already shaky foundation. The timing couldn't be worse. Ratings are dipping. Viewers are restless. And now, one of their marquee hosts stands at the epicenter of a controversy so toxic, it threatens to consume everything in its path. For years, Sunny has been the rock, the clear-eyed legal mind, the conscience of the panel. But with every passing headline, that rock begins to crumble. And in its place, a question no one at the network seems ready to answer. How long can they afford to stand by her before the whole show caves in?
Them. And it's a very serious crime. In fact, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, RICO case in New York's history.
As the courtroom drama intensifies, the stakes couldn't be more personal or more punishing. For Emmanuel Hostin, the outcome of this case could spell the end of his medical career and dismantle a lifetime of professional achievement. For Sunny, it's more than just collateral damage. Her career, her reputation, even her seat at the Hot Topics table, all hang in the balance. And for The View, it's a looming crisis with the power to shake the foundation of a show built on sharp opinions and accountability. How can a panel that's made a brand of calling out others ignore the storm brewing in its own living room? Yet, through the whirlwind of legal filings and media frenzy, one question refuses to fade. How much did Sunny know? It's a question that no one seems eager to answer. Not producers, not colleagues, and certainly not Sunny herself. Her public statements have been measured, cautious, carefully worded to shield her family and avoid further fallout. But in that silence, a louder message resonates. Because if she had no knowledge of what her husband was allegedly doing, why hasn't she stood up, fiercely and unequivocally, to defend the truth? And if she did know, even a fraction of it, what does that reveal about the very moral ground she spent years building her voice upon?
It's so weird. It really is like the whole country's hypnotized. And I just think this is a perfect storm of things that are happening all at the same time.
Perhaps the most staggering element of this scandal isn't just the scale, it's the boldness. These aren't accusations of a single misstep or a fleeting lapse in judgment. What's being described is a vast, meticulously crafted operation that spanned years, fake medical claims, unnecessary surgeries, kickbacks disguised with surgical precision. The kind of scheme so complex, it could rival the tactics of seasoned white-collar criminals. And yet, Emmanuel Hostin's legal team is hitting back hard. They've dismissed the lawsuit as baseless, accusing American Transit of launching a smear campaign, one fueled not by justice, but by financial desperation. According to them, this is a move by an embattled insurer trying to scare doctors into submission and dodge legitimate payouts. It's a daring defense, one that flips the narrative on its head and paints Emmanuel not as the perpetrator, but as the target. Still, it leaves a swirl of uneasy questions in its wake. If he's truly innocent, how did his name become entangled in a web with over 200 defendants? And why would an insurance giant wage such an aggressive legal assault without evidence strong enough to justify it?
Best for the people be what's what's running the thing. We're letting the thing be run by the people that are in power, that are corrupt, that want to keep.
And then came the public response, a firestorm of disbelief, outrage, and dark fascination. What began as a legal case has spiraled into a full-blown cultural moment, with social media platforms transforming into digital arenas, Twitter threads, TikToks, memes. Every corner of the internet has latched onto the story, dissecting it, mocking it, and debating what it all means for Sunny. Some defend her, clinging to the image they've trusted for years. Others are far less forgiving, arguing that the damage has already been done, that this scandal has pierced a hole too deep in her public persona to ever fully repair. The speculation is relentless. Is this the tipping point? Could this be the unraveling of a career built on sharp judgments and unwavering moral clarity? Because here's the uncomfortable truth now dominating the conversation. How does someone continue to serve as a voice of ethics and justice when their own household has become a symbol of everything they've condemned?
Does not look well when your name ends up with 200 people in a RICO investigation. This is the biggest investigation since Giuliani shook the tree and a bunch of mobsters fell out, right? This is big stuff. And so, and thank you for bringing that video. It sure is ironic that she's up there. So,
now let's talk numbers, the kind so staggering they blur the line between courtroom drama and cinematic spectacle. This case isn't just about wrongdoing. It's about a scale of alleged fraud so vast, it reads like fiction. Over $450 million in damages, racked up over years of calculated deception. That figure alone demands a pause. We're not talking about corner cutting. We're talking about a sprawling, orchestrated operation designed to manipulate the system from the inside out. At the center of it all, Emmanuel Hostin is accused of pushing patients, some with nothing more than fender-bender injuries, into surgery rooms when rest or therapy might have sufficed. It's not just unethical, it's dangerous. And it's left a burning question echoing in the minds of many. How does someone go from healing others to allegedly harming them for profit? The backlash has been swift and unforgiving. Media outlets have pounced, peeling apart every development, drawing harsh lines between past lectures and present realities. And all eyes have turned to Sunny. For years, she's been a commanding presence, dismantling arguments with poise, holding others to the highest standard, always the unwavering voice of justice on The View. But now, as her husband stands accused in one of the most explosive cases in recent memory, that steel confidence has begun to crack. To the public, it looks like a reckoning. A woman who's made a career out of demanding accountability now forced to confront it in her own living room. Some critics have been merciless, calling her out as a symbol of contradiction, asking whether she'll stand by the man at the center of the storm or protect what remains of the life and legacy she built.
Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures.
But the story doesn't end there. The lawsuit, driven by American Transit Insurance, unveils a chilling portrait of a medical ecosystem gone completely off the rails. An alleged alliance of doctors, clinics, and surgical centers all moving in lockstep to drain the system of every dollar they could. More than 200 defendants are named in the case, yet one name rises above the rest like a red flag in a sea of gray: Emmanuel Hostin. Not just because of his role in the scheme, but because of who he's married to. Sunny Hostin, legal analyst, public commentator, and the sharp voice of justice on daytime TV, now finds her world turned inside out. The irony couldn't be more brutal. A woman who spent her career spotlighting injustice, condemning corruption, and calling out societal failures, now finds her own home entangled in allegations of exploiting the very system she's fought so hard to critique.
But it's just, I mean, Pat, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to.
Let's set the scene. Emmanuel Hostin, once hailed as a distinguished physician with ties to prestigious institutions like Mount Sinai, is now at the center of a storm that reads less like a legal case and more like the script of a high-stakes crime thriller. According to court filings, this wasn't a matter of cutting corners. It was a full-blown demolition of the rules, shattered, scattered, and trampled without remorse. The accusations are jaw-dropping. performing surgeries that were either entirely unnecessary or grotesquely exaggerated, all on accident victims, and billing insurance companies for every fabricated detail. And the most audacious part? The alleged kickbacks, veiled as dividends, funneled through a surgical center where he held a financial stake. It's the kind of shocking twist that forces you to do a double take. How does a man with a spotless record in medicine end up here, in the kind tier, part of a scandal this deep?